I'm Joe. Today, on Next Level Bullshit, we talk about the idiotic letter dreamed up by the so-called 47 traitors. Republicans have openly challenged and defied the illegitimate, black, liberal president once again. Just a week after Netanyahu came to Congress to spew some bullshit, 47 Republican senators, led by Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, sent this letter, which opens with what certainly feels like an insult to Iran. It has come to our attention, while observing your nuclear negotiations with our government, that you may not fully understand our constitutional system. Yeah, definitely feels insulting. Congress plays a significant role of ratifying them, international agreements. In the case of a treaty, the Senate must ratify it by a 2/3 vote. A so-called congressional executive agreement requires a majority vote in both the House and the Senate. Weird, because Jack Goldsmith at Lawfare states the Senate does not ratify treaties. He goes on to say, instead, the Senate takes up a resolution of ratification, by which the Senate formally gives its advice and consent, empowering the president to proceed with ratification. Anyway, the bullshit letter continues with, the president may serve only 2 4-year terms, whereas senators may serve an unlimited number of 6-year terms. As applied today, for instance, President Obama will leave office in January 2017, while most of us will remain in office well beyond then, perhaps decades. Yeah, like Patrick fucking Leahy, we're gonna be here a while. Hopefully. Or as long as the money keeps coming in, at least. Now, to add to the steaming pile of fucked up bullshit, Tom Cotton did his best to be a huge douchebag, tweeting the most condescending thing ever, implying that Zarif, a foreign diplomat and academic, needed a translation. Tom Cotton, you're a scumbag, with a really awkward smile. And what do you know? We got a response from Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif. This guy got his master's degree in international relations from the Yosef Korbel School of International Studies in Denver, and followed that up with a PhD in international law and policy in 1988 with his thesis, written in English, Self-Defense in International Law and Policy. In his response, he said, I wish to enlighten the authors that if the next administration revokes any agreement with the stroke of a pen, as they boast, it will have simply committed a blatant violation of international law. Ho-ho, bird! I like this guy. He concluded with, their letter, in fact, undermines the credibility of thousands of such mere executive agreements that have been or will be entered into by the US with various other governments. Now, I happen to agree here. We look like a bunch of idiots who can't get along in front of people who already have a large mistrust for Western civilization. And our idiot Republicans look like complete imbeciles because they thought they could school this guy on international treaties. This is fucking embarrassing. In fact, Iran's supreme leader addressed hostilities between the Republicans and Obama and said their continuing hostilities are a threat to world peace, and then offered to mediate between the two parties. This is a triple facepalm moment. So, the brainiac behind this letter, Tom Cotton, who, interestingly enough, the next day after he sent the letter, on March 10th, participated in an event with the National Defense Industrial Association, a lobbying and professional group for defense contractors. The NDIA includes names like Northrop Grumman, Mantech International, Oshkosh Defense, and Booz Allen Hamilton. He also received $960,000 from Emergency Committee for Israel in his very expensive $13 million Senate race. This group happens to advocate for strong US-Israel relations, specifically security. Huh. Now that might explain the complete disarmament position Tom Cotton holds. Cotton has been making a name for himself by spewing warmongering rhetoric. It started with him saying the Islamic State collaborates with the Mexican drug cartel. The claims have been debunked several times, even before he spewed it. Seriously, just think about it for a moment. why would the Mexican drug cartel want to help terrorists screw with their biggest market, the US? Then he made headlines with this Gitmo rant.
The answer is zero.
Correct.
Islamic terrorists don't need an excuse to attack the United States. They don't attack us for what they do. They attack us for who we are. It is not a security decision. It is a political decision based on a promise the president made on his campaign. To say that it is a security decision based on propaganda value that our enemies get from it is a pretext to justify a political decision. In my opinion, the only problem with Guantanamo Bay is there are too many empty beds and cells there right now. We should be sending more terrorists there for further interrogation to keep this country safe. As far as I'm concerned, every last one of them can rot in hell. But as long as they don't do that, then they can rot in Guantanamo Bay.
Looks like he's on the get tough on Iran bandwagon because nuclear weapons. The funny thing is, though, is Iran has signed treaties repudiating the possession of weapons of mass destruction, like the Biological Weapons Convention, the Chemical Weapons Convention, and the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Guess who didn't sign that? Wait for it. Oh, Israel, of course. Nuclear weapon capabilities is the reason why some people have such a hard-on for Iran. First, if Iran nukes Israel, well, there goes the expected timeline and sequence of events for the Christian end times. Their potential for nuclear weapons was the reason why Iran was labeled part of the axis of evil by President W. Bush in his 2002 State of the Union address. Oh, they're also accused of aiding terrorists and pretty much starting 9/11. It also doesn't help that they're building nuclear facilities with the Russians. Also, their oppressive Shia theocratic government raises a lot of eyebrows. The supreme leader of Iran controls all media outlets. Everything is slanted, and they're pretty oppressive towards journalists. Also not helping their cause, the Iranian government officials' stated goal is to establish a new world order of peace based on Shia belief system. All the rednecks here is huh, Sharia law, oh my God. A lot of people are calling for the Logan Act to be enforced. There's even a whitehouse.gov petition with 270,000 signatures to file charges against the 47 senators. The Logan Act is a federal law first enacted in 1798 by President Adams. It forbids unauthorized citizens from negotiating with foreign governments. The act was recently amended to make it a felony act in 1994. Though this isn't going anywhere, the Logan Act is a fucking joke. I don't think Dennis Rodman is an authorized figure, yet he didn't get slapped with a felony when visiting North Korea. In 2008, before he was elected, Obama visited Iraq and tried to convince Iraqi leaders to wait until a new US administration was in place before beginning the drawdown of American troops. Nancy Pelosi went to Syria to communicate on foreign policy issues with Syrian President Bashar Assad against the wishes of Obama. In 1977, the idiot brother of President Jimmy Carter met with the Libyan officials and announced that they gave him a large amount of cash so that he would be able to lobby on behalf of Libyan interests. In 1984, Senator Ted Kennedy went to the Soviet Union and met with Mikhail Gorbachev. In that meeting, he apologized for Ronald Reagan's foreign policy and promised a tangible change should Walter Mondale win election as our president. And one of the biggest conspiracies of the last century, the Iran-Contra affair, began with Ronald Reagan negotiating an arms deal with Iran before he was president. So forget about the Logan Act, it never gets enforced. These insane knuckleheads tried to school someone who is much more intelligent than they are, and in the process reminded the whole world about the embarrassing bullshit in Washington. They're all treasonous. And that is, without a doubt, some serious next level bullshit. And there it is, episode 41. I want to thank all my fans out there for being super awesome. Our last episode on weaponized Islam got the internet's a-crackling. 777 said, inconceivable they haven't pulled down this video. Inconceivable the blinders on the American sheeples. And an inconceivable great video. It's always great when we can work in a Princess Bride reference. Justin Robertson said, the truth is way too heavy this time. Really makes me debate where I see myself and this country in the next 10 years. Yeah, I feel ya. Wu Gai Owen said, this guy speaks more sense than 99.9% of the people in this subject. Great video. And Anonymous pointed out our audio troubles. Man, I just installed some vintage speakers and I thought they were going poopy already. You jerk. Sorry about that. So, what's today's total?
9.
Nice. Each time we hit 100 in the swear jar, I donate $100 to a worthy charity. This will be the second time 100 is coming up, and we're focused on literacy, because literacy is the best way to be able to filter bullshit. So far, United Through Reading looks pretty good, but we're still open to suggestions. Now, if you find a story that's bullshit worthy, post it to any social media site using hashtag NLBS. And if you're really motivated, make me a video. If I like it, we'll feature you on our next segment. You can also email me anytime at joe@nextlevelbullshit.com. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and watch all our shows on nextlevelbullshit.com. And don't forget to go to thenlbs.spreadshirt.com to get shirts and other cool shit. Until next time, let's take advice from history. Back in the 90s, Southwest Airlines and Stevens Aviation came up with the same slogan, just plain smart. Rather than go to court over who owns the ad slogan, the two CEOs agreed to arm wrestle over it and raised money for charity in the process. Now that's fucking